In the meantime, let's speak to Marie-Roger Biloa, who's CEO of Africa International Media Group, and she's joining us via Skype from Paris. I imagine the French watching what's happening in Guinea very closely, Marie-Roger, given that it's one of their former colonies and a lot of French interests in that country. Does this coup, or attempted coup, if we may call it that, come as a surprise to you?
Well, of course, obviously, it's very much people are following very closely what is happening here in Guinea. I must say, since election earlier this year, the tension has grown, and it's not. It did not become lower, the tension, and the situation in Mali was also an incentive something. And we have been hearing of rumors of coup a couple of weeks ago, and we sort of, it's always surprising when it really happens. And what we know so far is that the head of the special forces, Mr. Doumbouya, had an argument yesterday with the Minister of Defense. And it had been alluded to the bad relationship they had together, and then that started early this morning. And what we believed is that he could not rally all the security forces of Guinea, and that he was mastering only the special forces, but it doesn't seem to be true. But still, they could capture the president. They have the president in their hands, in their custody. But there is a communique of the Minister of Defense saying, well, they are still fighting. There's an attempted coup.
Right.
It didn't work. We are urging everyone to...
Unclear right now, even though we're seeing these pictures of these soldiers on national television, which is very often what happens in many African countries, in that region anyway. When a coup happens, the soldiers go on TV and say, OK, we've done this, we're now in charge. But at this stage in Guinea, it's unclear who is in charge or whether this coup has been successful or not. The army in Guinea, to what extent has it been united around President Condé? That has been, many people would say, his strength in all these years as he's been in power, including during this controversial third term, has been his ability to maintain the army around him, surround himself with a strong army. But now these cracks seem to have appeared within the military.
Yes, and the special forces were, let's say, they are considered the Malinke, same ethnic group
as the president, indeed.
And he was trusting them, obviously. But I must say, this third term was not settled yet, unlike Cote d'Ivoire, where there was also a third term issue. But you see political life reviving. Laurent Gbagbo came back. They are creating new parties, new coalition. But
Marie-Roger, it's interesting that you talk about Ivory Coast, and I want to ask you something about that. I mean, there are those who say, the cynics anyway, would say that the difference between Ivory Coast and Guinea and the fact that Alassane Ouattara was able to go on with this third term is that because he had the backing of the former colonial power, France. To what extent is or was France still supporting Alpha Condé?
Yeah, okay. France is not at all supporting Alpha Condé. That is true. That the relationship is very different with President Ouattara. And as a matter of fact, President Alpha Condé in France for over 2 years, which is unusual. He just came back from holiday in Turkey or some other places, not France anymore, and I know there were forces around him trying to reconcile Alpha Condé with France. And even this week, I meet with people who were speaking about that, said we cannot go on having that bad relationship with France. what can happen exactly. So that was a concern.
Okay.
So I trust that the military special forces knew that President Condé won't have any backing from France if they do the coup.
Okay, interesting to talk to you about this. Of course, we are in unknown territory here as far as what is happening in Conakry and what's going to happen. Marie-Roger Biloa, thank you so much for joining us. Let's go back to Nick Hack, our West Africa correspondent. Nick, as we were